Our next guest continues to break barriers for the LGBTQ plus community with their bold music and unapologetic online presence. Non-binary artist Grace Gaustad is celebrating what it means to be queer. This is Advocate Now. Grace, we're so happy to have you with us today, and you're becoming such a force in pop music, but especially for the LGBTQ plus community. As a non-binary artist, what does it mean to you to be able to share some of your own struggles in your songs and have others resonate with it as well?
I think that one of the biggest things that art sort of allows you to do is express yourself at the highest degree possible. For me, I think in creating music, did a lot of self discovery at the same time. And so throughout these past few years, I've done a lot of self reflection and just learning, and through my craft, being able to connect with other people who feel the exact same way as I do has been a really magical thing. It's wild to put out a piece of music or put out a piece of art and then have, thousands of people say, it resonates with me. I feel the same way as you do. And so it's sort of like, me and all the people who are listening to my music, we're all just discovering ourselves at the same time through sort of this common denominator that is the art that we're making and that we're sharing.
Now I feel like a monster. I could play my drama, but I've already lost you. I've already lost you. So keep pouring the vodka. It's sweeter than my problems. Wish I never loved you. Wish I had a drug too.
You talk about self-reflection, and a lot of that comes through your music, the realness, the authenticity of who you are with your lyrics. Was there ever any hesitation in bringing that out?
I think anytime you're going to create art and you're going to share it with the world, it's always a little bit scary. I'll never forget, my mom and I sat down and had a whole conversation before I ever released the record Red, which was on my first album, Black Box, because it was the first song where I had ever openly spoken about my sexuality. And, my mom and I are sort of sitting there and we're like, gosh, is it okay to have the thumbnail, like, girls kissing? Is that okay? We had this whole dialogue with one another. And I just remember thinking to myself at the time, and this is now years ago, but like, how weird is that? We shouldn't be thinking about that. That shouldn't be important. We're talking about two people in love, and we're talking about, a really beautiful song that should be shared. And so there's definitely been moments of fear, but there's also been moments of like, bravery in that, where like this should be shared and you shouldn't be afraid of it and you shouldn't be ashamed. And no matter what anybody else thinks, that's not what it's about at the end of the day. You're putting something out because you love it, and you're putting something out in hopes that there's a lot of other people who can see it and connect to it.
Yeah, it can be really tough to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, not to mention expressing that vulnerability publicly. What is that process, I guess, of tearing down those walls been like for you?
I think a lot of it's come with age. I think I'm much more open now at 21 than I was maybe at like 16 when I first started releasing music. I think as you get older, you start to care less and less what people think. And you start to just feel more empowered by, your own being. But, like I said, it is definitely scary. There's always that element of like, what's everybody going to think? Are people going to react a certain way? Am I going to get hate for this? Am I going to get love for it? You always have those thoughts as an artist. And I think, the thing that sort of quiets those down for me is just knowing that I'm doing it for all the right reasons. And, seeing the messages coming in from the fans, that's what lets me know that like I'm on the right track. And anything else, any other commentary from other people really doesn't matter, as long as, the songs and the music and the videos are really special for, some people.
Yeah, isn't that so crazy how that's really the basis of it, is that when you tap into your own truth, then you always know that it's the right path, whatever is true to you. You've shared that Lady Gaga has been a massive inspiration to you. You even have a song about her. What is it about Lady Gaga that you admire so much?
I think that Lady Gaga is just one of the most maybe like authentic figures I've ever seen. Someone who really doesn't care what anybody thinks. Someone who's gone to the extremes to make her art as real as possible. Um, I really admire sort of her ability to really think outside of a box. I just think she's a fascinating person, a fascinating artist, and has been, a huge musical influence on me as well. I remember the first time, I tell the story all the time, I'm driving in the car with my dad. I'm really young, and the radio's on, and sort of Poker Face comes from those first little words right there. I was like hooked, and I went home and I watched, all the Gaga YouTube videos, and my mom's thinking, oh no, like, Grace is 8 years old, whatever it is, this is not what maybe I want my child to see. And yet at the same time, I was just so inspired in the best way by her and all that, she's done throughout her career.
Well, here on Advocate Now, we really believe that when we share our stories, it helps others feel seen. As a non-binary person, can you share a little bit about your own gender identity journey?
I am sort of one of those people. I've always kind of hated the labels, always sort of rejected them. I think that for me, sort of gender has always been this like made up social construct, and I think that a lot of people maybe don't realize that there's this huge difference between, sex and gender. And one of them is not sort of the spectrum, and one of them very much is, and it's your presentation. And so I think, growing up, I always felt like, because of my sex per se, I had to be a certain way. I had to like certain things. I had to dress a certain way. And then as I got older, I was like, wait a second, that makes no sense at all. There shouldn't be one set of rules for, one person and then a new set of rules for someone else. You should just be able to sort of express exactly how you want to, and, sort of participate in the things you love and the things you like. And so it took me getting to probably about, 18 or 19 before I finally was like, there's no reason that I should have to follow, a particular set of rules. Because of, my sex. And so I think that that was sort of a big revelation for me.
People call it a journey for a reason. What advice do you have for other non-binary young people who are embracing their true selves, or at least attempting to?
I mean, I think you have to just sort of enjoy the ride. You have to give yourself room to breathe. Sometimes we get hurt, sometimes we have to recover. Some people require more to sort of keep themselves afloat than others. And I want to erase the stigma that somehow, mental health makes you less than, or mental health makes you not as good as other people. It's really just, something that I think almost everybody struggles with. And it's no different than just a physical injury. You have to be able to heal and take care of it, and take whatever steps you may need to take in order to sort of heal that space in yourself. A therapist told me a really sort of important, saying, and she said to me, you have to get really comfortable with, I don't know. You don't always need a definitive yes or a definitive no. It's okay to be, in that space of learning and growing and processing. Your answer can be, I don't know. I have to think about it. And so, I remember hearing that for the first time, being like, wow, that takes a lot of pressure off. People are always so quick to judge or so quick to label. And it's like, be okay in that gray space, and let yourself sort of figure out, where you want to go with it.
Grace, you are doing such incredible work in both music and activism. Thank you so much for being here and for being you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com.